Hi there, thanks for joining me for another episode of Draw, Make, and Code. I'm your host, Ed Cavett, and in this episode, I wanted to look at adding some really quick, easy gradients to the background of my art. So I often run into the problem where I've created some artwork, I've presented it in the canvas, and that's what it looks like, artwork presented in the canvas. But if you want to integrate that artwork into the canvas there's ways that you can do this by connecting it with some color or some structure or texture on the canvas. So that's where backgrounds come in handy. One of the easiest ways to really up your output is to add some procedures that give some interest to the background. And that's not going to be the focal point of the art, but it pulls everything together, in my opinion. So I've been working with adding some kind of background to my art, so I don't just have like a static color or just black or white or whatever, but have some texture there. So one easy texture is a gradient. So here is a procedure in setup that runs from a loop from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, and as it moves, it's going to map that location to a color value. And then you can use that color value as any one of the RGBs or the other color system, or you can map it to the alpha and then plot the line as it goes down the canvas with that color difference as it goes. So you get a different style depending on how you do this, and there are different ways of doing it. Like I said, you could put it in a color value and then maybe have a really low constant alpha, or you can have a constant color with a variable alpha. Both of those ways are going to create a gradient, but it's going to do it in different ways. So you can play around with that and see what you could get to come out of it. You could do, you could mirror move like from half of the canvas down and then mirror that from half of the canvas up, and then you get this kind of double linear gradient. What I'm doing in Draw now is a radial gradient. So instead of using Y and going down the screen in your loop, you're using R, which would be the radius of a circle. Loop through your radius, which would be the width of the screen or whatever, and then change your color each time you create a circle and have some low alpha, or apply that variable to the color or variable to the alpha. Either way, you're going to get different styles of output. You can step by different amounts so that you can get this really distinct gradient, or you can step by a small amount and get a really mild gradient. So just a few procedures, changing those variables around in different ways, you're going to get lots of different output. And here I'm just mixing the two together. So I have a linear gradient produced in the setup, and now a radial gradient produced in Draw. So wherever you put these at, it kind of matters. So a lot of my art is persistent output, so the background isn't being cleared each frame, it's just leaving the output each frame. But not all art works like that. So what if you have a background that you don't want cleared, but you want your output to clear as it's being made? Does that make sense? One of the things you can do is just send your background into a graphics page and then display that image before you display your output. That's going to be clearing over time. So those are some tips for playing around with gradients and getting some background texture or background interest to tie your artwork that you're dropping on the canvas all together into one thing. I hope this has been helpful, and if it has, let me know in the comments. I appreciate all of the support, all the new subscribers. I'm going to try to continue to upload content as much as I can, but I'm learning something new now and it's taking up a lot of my time, so hopefully I'll get back to my regular routine. But until then, I'm going to keep plodding along, and I hope you will continue to stay with me as I do that. Thanks again, as always, and until next time, take care.